Hello, hello. I'm Casey,
And I'm Fallon.
and this is
Render the Darkness.
Get so good at that, it almost sounds like the same voice.
Almost.
Who's saying that? Okay, so your fact of the episode is, and I thought this was very fitting in particular for this case, but allodaxophobia is the fear of someone else's opinion.
Interesting. I didn't know that was a fear.
I didn't either.
Or a phobia, I guess you'd say.
I did not either. So, this episode is about the folklore of Suffolk, England, UK. So, this started as a listener recommendation, and I did include the story that was requested by them, but man, did the request of that story trigger a rabbit hole of history and tales.
Really?
It was so much fun to do this one, and I learned a lot. So, thank you to the listener that requested the Green Children of Woolpit. I will call her Kay. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Kay.
Okay, so let's start by discussing a little bit about Suffolk itself. Suffolk is a county in eastern England, and if I'm saying that wrong, I'm really sorry. And if I am saying it wrong, you're going to hear me mispronounce it a lot, and I apologize. Anyway, it is a county in eastern England. Next to it, to the north, is Norfolk. To the west is Cambridgeshire. To the east is the North Sea, and to the south is Essex. There's one borough and 4 districts. There are many towns, cities, and settlements. I'm going to do my best to name them all here because we'll be covering myths and legends from all over the county, and I want the names to at least sound familiar when you hear them.
Okay.
We have Adelberg, Beccles, Brandon, Bungay, Bures, Bury St. Edmunds, Clare, Debenham, Dunwich, Felixstowe, Framlingham, Framsden, Hastings, Hadley, Halesworth, Haverhill, Ipswich, Kentford, Lakenheath, Lavenham, Leiston, Long Melford, Lowestoft, Metfield, Mildenhall, Nayland, Needham Market, Newmarket, Orford, Saxmundham, Sizewell, Snape, Southwold, Stanton, Stowmarket, Stratford St. Mary, Sudbury, Thorpeness, Troston, Wearsted, Wickham Market, and Woodbridge.
Ooh.
There's also a lot of different types of landscapes that exist within Suffolk. You have the East Coast line, which boasts sandy beaches, gravel beaches, crumbling cliffs, and estuaries, which a lot of rare birds are said to visit. There are rolling hills to the north and west and forests, especially in Woodbridge and Aldeburgh, I think. Speaking of Aldeburgh, I read that the town hosts an annual music festival that has been happening since 1948, which I thought was really neat.
Oh, wow. So it's still going on to this day?
Still goes on to this day every year.
Dang.
I could do a whole episode on just how incredible the county of Suffolk is as a whole, and it's absolutely beautiful. I got lost in all the pictures of all the different towns and landscapes, and but if I did that, then I wouldn't be sticking to the intended topics of the podcast. So today I'm going to focus on all the folklore, myths, and legends that surround the cities and towns within the county. There are many legends surrounding this county. I went ahead and chose the ones that seem to be the most popular or the most influential to the area. Because I would have taken me forever to cover them all. Before I dive into this, if I, for whatever reason, leave anything out of importance to any of the stories, please do not hesitate to reach out and correct me. A lot of these had many different accounts, so I tried to include the ones that were referred to the most, but I'm sure I'll leave something out. So if I do, I apologize. The first one I'm going to talk about is the legend of the Black Shook. This legend speaks of a ghostly black dog. The Black Shook name is said to derive from the Old English words skuka, which means devil. There are multiple descriptions of what this beast looks like. Some accounts say the dog has 2 fiery red eyes. Some say it has one in the middle of its forehead like a cyclops. Some say it's the size of a horse. Some say it's just about the size of any other large dog. Some say seeing it means certain death, and others believe that seeing it means certain death to a family member. And others claim it just means you'll have bad luck.
Oh, okay.
I did see too that some people also believe that it isn't out to kill at all, but rather to protect women and children on their journeys through the areas where the black shook is thought to frequent. The earliest report of a black shook sighting I could find was in 1127 in the town of Peterborough.
Wow.
The account claimed that there was a large group of huntsmen seen hunting. They were said to be black, huge, and hideous. They also claimed that not only were the huntsmen riding on black horses, but they were riding he-goats, and with them were large hounds with jet black fur and eyes the size of saucers. The claim was not only made in Peterborough, but rather in all the woods from there to Stamford.
What's a he-goat?
Half man, half goat.
Oh, just like what it sounds. Okay.
Yep, he-goat. The locals claim that about 20 to 30 hounds remained in the area for about 50 days from Lent to Easter. These events were referred to as the quote-unquote wild hunt. It was actually not just secluded to this area. There were claims of these hunts from Central, Western, and Northern Europe, all claiming and describing the presence of or the underpinnings of the black shook. The most famous account of the black shook, however, comes in August of 1577. The story goes, in Bungay there was a strong raging storm, and the town folk were congregating at a church. All of a sudden, a large clap of thunder broke, and when that happened, the church doors flew open, and the black shook ran through the crowd, killing a man and a young boy.
Oh, no. I thought it didn't kill people, though.
Some people believed he didn't kill people.
Okay. Gotcha.
Then the church steeple fell through the roof of the church, causing the beast to flee. It's said that the black shook immediately ran to a church in Blythburgh and killed 2 more people. When the beast busted into the church, he left scorch marks on the door, which are actually said to still be on the doors to this day. The scorch marks are referred to by the locals as the quote-unquote devil's fingerprints.
Oh, wow.
It's actually a pretty big tourist attraction in those areas. And I didn't include this, but there's a lot of places in the area where these churches are, as well as East Anglia that's named after the black shook.
Oh, nice.
But there have been accounts of the black shook all over, but he's been seen most often on the coastline of East Anglia. He's been seen in graveyards, side roads, water, and forests. It's said that the creature's howl will stop you in your tracks, but to always be alert because his footsteps cannot be heard at all. He is said to appear out of nowhere and disappear just as quickly.
Oh, wow.
Many people believe that the Sherlock Holmes novel, The Hound of Baskerville, written by Sir Conan Doyle, was inspired by the black shook. There have been claims of sightings of the beast as close as the 1980s, and many people believe the black shook is still roaming around, so beware.
Oh, wow.
My next myth or legend to talk about is going to be the Wild Man of Orford.
Wild man.
The Orford Castle is located in southeast England, close to the sea near Orford Ness. This tale comes out of the 12th century during Henry II's reign. Apparently in 1127, some fishermen had caught what they referred to as a merman. The man was described as hairy and could breathe underwater. The men who caught him were understandably terrified of what they had just caught, so they brought the creature to the Orford Castle, which at the time was the castle of Bartholomew de Grandsville, where it said that he was tortured for 6 months. I do want to say that I did also see accounts in the description of him being described as more fish than man, and he was very shiny.
Oh, okay.
In the castle where he was tortured for 6 months, he was tortured as an attempt to get him to answer questions about where he came from and who he was, but the man was said to be very feral and never spoke a word. He was able to escape and never seen again. I read different accounts of how he escaped. One source says there was a river along the castle he managed to escape through, and another said that the castle guardsmen had started allowing the man to swim in the ocean in like a contained area, and the man somehow found a way to get out of the area and escape back into the ocean.
Oh,
The story of this merman, or wild man, inspired carvings of the creature that were placed on local baptismal fonts. I read that you can find 20 different carvings throughout the coastal areas of Suffolk and Norfolk.
Right.
The next one is Dunwich Atlantis, or as it's often referred to as Britain's Atlantis. The lost city of Dunwich was a port town that was thought to be lost to the sea during the storms in the 13th century. The town was located between Adelburg and the resort of Southwold. It had a population of around 200. Over time, a legend began that the city was not lost, but simply overtaken by the sea. They said that during the storm, sometimes you could hear the church bells of Dunwich ringing.
Oh.
It's said that when along the coastline of the area this town is thought to still exist, there's a ghostly feeling. Experts tried to claim that it would be impossible to see the town, it would be impossible for the town to still exist or to be intact because it would have been broken to pieces by the waves and washed away. However, evidence of this town still existing started arising, or at least some of it, and this happened because in the 1960s, fishermen began reporting that their fishing nets were continuously getting snagged on something in the area where the town used to stand. A diver named Stuart Bacon decided to go inspect these claims. Because it's said that the North Sea is hostile with next to no visibility most days, it took Bacon until 1972 to spot the town's church's tower through the water.
Oh, dang.
Upon him diving down, he saw the tower. He found ruins of the St. Peter's Church as well. So eventually, based on Bacon's accounts, a full survey was performed by David Sear with sonar technology. He was able to pinpoint exactly where the town should be. So in 2008, he took a crew out in a boat equipped with sonar and he got a ping.
Ooh.
That's when the team would locate the town of Dunwich lying at the seabed.
Oh, wow.
Out of the almost 300 settlements in the North Basin that have been lost to the sea, Dunwich is said to have been the largest. There's a reconstructed model of the town at the Dunwich Museum if you're ever curious what the town used to look like before it was overtaken by the sea.
Oh, wow. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Okay. On to the Witch's Stone of Lowestoft.
Witch's Stone.
Yeah. Apparently in Lowestoft, located in Bellevue Park and also next to Gallows Score, is a group of small-ish stones cemented together with an anchor on top of it. I think I actually read that Gallows Score is not called that now. Now it's called Cart Score, I believe.
Cart Score?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The legend goes that when the town hall clock strikes midnight, the witch's stones are said to dash to the sea unless bathed in fire, and said to return at the last stroke of the clock. The stones are believed to be quote-unquote rainmakers. It's said that if you pour water over the top of them, then rain would surely come. They're named the witch's stones, from what I read, after the town's most famous witches. One's name is Amy or Anne Denny, and the other's name is Rose Cullender. They were both hung in 1662. Story says that Anne used to sit on top of the stones and yell curses at people who passed. This was never proven to be true or false, and it didn't have anything to do with her execution.
Oh, okay. That seems kind of funny.
Especially for that time.
Yeah.
Like how they talked. Could you imagine? Anyway.
I was fixing to say something. I was like, yeah, probably inappropriate, so never mind. As you were saying.
Were you about to do like a sample of what it would say? It would be the worst sample, I'm sure.
Yeah, it probably would have been. That's why I was like, okay, go right ahead. Sorry.
I also was going to do a sample, and I also retracted because I was like, that is not appropriate.
Right.
Okay. I read the stones are actually what's left of a pair of beacons that were erected in the 1550s with the intent to warn the town when they were potentially about to be attacked from ships that were coming in the sea. The way it was set to work was that someone would light the beacon if ships were seen in the ocean, but they would set them on fire if any of them made land and seemed like they were intending to attack or mean harm. Hence, where the part of the legend that says the stones go to the sea unless bathed in fire comes in.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so now we're on to the fairies of Stowmarket.
Fairies.
I will tell you ahead of time before I say this one, I gave you the Cliff Notes version of this tale because there was a lot on the fairies. So I kind of just flipped that down quite a bit.
Quite a bit. All right.
Okay, so I'm sure you've heard of like a fairy ring in reference to mushrooms, right?
Oh, yeah.
My neighbor up the road actually has one that popped up in his front yard.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. Every time I go by, I'm like, that's a fairy ring.
Yeah. Well, they're called that because it's believed that they're actually created by fairies.
Right.
This is especially true in Stowmarket, where a large group of them are believed to reside. For over 100 years, there have been claims of sightings and interactions with the fairy folk of this town. They aren't typically out when people are around, but people have been known to hide in attempts to catch a glimpse, and some have claimed to be successful. There was a particular time when some people claimed to see a group of the fairies singing, dancing, and playing music together on a wood stack. But as soon as the fairies noticed the people watching, they fled. They were described as very tiny, quiet, but merry creatures who would leave sparks of fire under the feet of anyone who bothered them.
Ooh, that's no fun.
There was a man who once claimed that the fairies used his house for meetings, and in return they kept his house clean, filled his oven with new wood every night, and even left shillings under his footstool.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a nice fairy. All he had to do was tell no one.
Uh-oh.
But of course, people are gonna people. And he did tell someone, so the fairies never came back.
Oh.
And that's just one of the countless accounts throughout the town of Stowmarket of people claiming to have had similar interactions with these creatures. Like a fairy saying to a man, "Fix your bread knife and you shall receive hot bread." And upon fixing the knife, he did in fact receive hot bread. And so on and so forth. So, do you believe in fairies?
Yes.
I personally do for sure. Yes, I would agree.
I've always believed in fairies and gnomes and goblins and all that stuff.
Me too. Absolutely. I think it would be just against everything I believe in to not believe in those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one we're going to talk about is the Dragon of Bures St. Mary.
The dragon.
The dragon.
Ooh.
Supposedly, there was a dragon that terrorized Bures. There's actually a carving of the dragon in the hills of Bures to this day. And
wow.
It's actually really cool. I can attach a link for the picture of the carving. But the first telling of the dragon took place in 1405 by a monk. But they certainly weren't the last. Several other townsfolk claimed to have seen it too. The dragon was described as being huge with a crested head, serrated teeth, and a long tail. It was said to have killed a shepherd and his flock and would breathe fire at anything that moved. They tried to kill it with arrows, but they'd just bounce off the dragon, so they had to call in reinforcements. Once those men arrived, the dragon was said to have fled down to the river to another town called Wormingford, where, according to the people of Wormingford, they heroically slayed the dragon. No one knows if that's true or not, but either way, the dragon was never seen again.
It just went away in the mountains. It's just chilling.
Maybe.
With this little dragon family.
I'd like to think that's what happened. Yeah, it's much nicer than what they're portraying happened. This legend might actually be derived from a small semblance of truth. Apparently, at the time that this dragon was flying around terrorizing people, King Richard I, or also known as Richard the Lionheart, was gifted a crocodile from King Saladin during the 12th century Crusades.
Just gave him a whole ass
crocodile.
Here you go, my dude. Here's a whole ass crocodile.
The crocodile, however, somehow escaped from the Tower of London and was believed to have ended up in the Marsh of Bures. So people may very well have been seeing some form of a dragon.
Oh.
But it may have been very embellished.
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, technically, a crocodile could be misconstrued as a tiny kind of dragon, I guess. Certainly a dinosaur, but in those times, I don't know if they knew about dinosaurs in those times or not.
I don't know.
Okay, so the next one is, and I hope I say this right, and if I don't, I'm sorry, but the Rendlesham Forest incident. Starting in December of 1980, people began reporting that they were seeing unexplainable, strange lights. The claims were eventually suspected by some, and we're about to discuss the some, to be linked to UFO landings. This event is often referred to as Britain's Roswell. This was occurring in Rendlesham Forest, which is about 8 miles from the town of Ipswich. The incident actually occurred between two former military bases, RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters. I don't know if I'm supposed to say RAF or if I'm just supposed to say RAF. So I'm just going to go with RAF.
Yeah, I would too.
And at the time, both areas were being used by the United States Air Force. They were under the command of Colonel Gordon E. Williams, Colonel Ted Conrad, and Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt. Halt claimed to have seen what he referred to as UFOs on the night of December 26, 1980. According to Halt, at 3 a.m., a security guard patrolling the east gate of East RAF Woodbridge reported seeing the lights descending in the forest. Servicemen originally thought it was perhaps a fallen aircraft. However, according to Halt, when they went to investigate, they saw a metallic craft with colored lights. When they began to approach, the craft appeared to move the trees, and he stated that the animals on a nearby farm went into a frenzy. Sergeant Jim Peniston was among the group who investigated the lights, and he also claimed to have encountered a craft of unknown origin. The police were called to the scene, arrived at 4 a.m. They reported that the only visible lights were those of the Orford Ness Lighthouse miles away from the forest. After daybreak, the men returned to the forest to a clearing on the east edge of the forest. They found 3 small impressions in the pattern of a triangle, burn marks, and broken branches on the nearby trees. The police were again called after this discovery, but they claimed the marks were left there by an animal.
Oh, yeah. They can make perfect little triangles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know any animal that can do that, but that's what they claimed.
Okay.
You can actually see a photo of the pattern in the book written by Georgina Bruni called You Can't Tell the People. A couple days later, Halt returned to the site with a few servicemen. This was on December 28th. They went out to see if they could find or get a radiation reading from the impressions and the surrounding area. According to Halt, they did. This whole thing, the going back out to get the radiation readings, was actually recorded on a mini cassette recorder by Halt, which I'll attach a link of in the show notes for anyone who might want to listen to the tape. He also wrote a memo of his accounts, which I'm going to get into in just a second, and I will attach a link for his memo as well. They were... What?
I was just going to say, well, that's cool.
It really was pretty interesting. I read it. I read the memo. They recorded small bursts of radiation for up to a half mile away from the site. In his memo of the 3 starlight lights, he wrote, 2 to the north and 1 to the south. They hovered 10 degrees above the horizon. He went on to say that the brightest star hovered for 2 to 3 hours and occasionally a beam of light would descend from it. Astronomers would try to dismiss his claim, saying that the lights could be explained as simply just bright stars, and that the descending lights Halt claimed to have seen most likely came from a piece of natural debris or a meteor that had been seen over southern England at the time.
Okay.
Others dismissed his claims, saying the lights were coming from the beacon of the lighthouse, located a few miles away at Orford Ness. Despite experts claiming no evidence of UFOs and almost all other found witnesses of the mysterious lights dismissing them as something else, most believing them to be the lights of the lighthouses, and the animals heard being explained away as a Muntok deer in the roaming forests, Halt stuck to his claims of his experience. He's actually gone on record saying he believed he witnessed something extraterrestrial that night and that it was covered up. In June of 2010, Halt reconfirmed his sightings when he signed a notarized affidavit where he explained yet again what he believed happened. He also restated and emphasized that he believes he feels the whole thing was covered up not only by the U.S., but also by the UK too.
So he never wavered from his story.
He never wavered from that story.
Right.
In the same year, Colonel Ted Conrad, remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He came forth and stated, "We saw nothing that resembled Lieutenant Halt's description either in the sky nor on the ground." He further explained, "We had people in position to validate Halt's narrative, but none of them ever could." Conrad would also dispute Peniston's claims that he touched an alien spacecraft. Conrad claimed that Peniston never stated such a thing at the time of the event, and the whole thing may have been a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
Boo on Conrad.
Yeah.
Boo on Conrad. That's all I have to say about that.
I don't really particularly like this Conrad. I don't trust him.
I don't either. Whether it was a hoax or not a hoax, that didn't stop the Forestry Commission from opening a 3-mile trail in 2005 so that curious patrons can visit some of the areas said to be connected to the sightings.
Oh, okay.
The next one we're going to cover is the Breck's Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
The claims of a creature in the Breck's landscape began in 1876, from what I read. To describe the Breck's landscape, it has sandstorms, heathlands. It's unusually dry. It has thousands of Scots pines, Coruscant pines, oak, beech, lime, walnut, and maple trees. It's even said to have its own microclimate.
Wow.
In June of 1986, the town was experiencing electrical storms, hailstorms, and extremely foggy nights. A witness claimed to have seen what they described as a large, long-haired creature with a light gray coat walking on all fours.
In the storms?
That's what they claimed.
Wow, okay.
According to them, upon returning the other direction, they seen the creature again, but this time it was on its back 2 legs and stood around 8 feet tall.
Ooh.
This seemed to have triggered a stream of claims of this creature throughout the area. Some described it as a wolf-like creature, some would say a bear-like creature, and others would claim just not of this world. Thetford Forest is a place of frequent claims of sightings. The descriptions are also similar of the ones mentioned above. Long snout, dark shaggy fur. Some say on 4 legs, some on 2. Some people say 7 feet tall, some say 8. There are even claims of shining eyes near the trees. Mm-hmm. It's said that to this day you can hear growling when you walk throughout the forest. But despite no matter what differences people might suggest about its appearance, the one thing they can all agree on is that it's terrifying, and it's said to still be out there roaming the forest to this day.
Ooh, that's interesting. The glowing eyes is kind of creepy, though.
It is. I would not want to see that, especially that tall.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Next, we're going to talk about the Green Children of Woolpit. Although this story is considered a tale of folklore, there seems to be some level of truth behind it. The story goes in 1150 during King Stephen's reign, at a time in England's history that is referred to as the quote-unquote anarchy. The 2 children with green skin were said to have been found in Woolpit, Suffolk. They were found in one of the wolf pits the town was actually said to be named after. Apparently, they spoke in an unknown language. The language was referred to as gibberish. They were also said to act kind of nervously. Sir Richard de Calne, a local squire, took them in. According to him, the children didn't eat for days. They struggled to find anything they would eat at all, but that all changed when the children were given broad beans. Don't ask me what broad beans are, because I do not know. They seemingly ate those in what was referred to as a ravenous way. They lived with Calne for several years. They would eventually learn to speak English and adjusted to other foods.
Okay, I was about to ask if that's all they ever ate, but okay.
When they started eating other foods, they apparently lost their green skin over time.
Oh, wow.
Once that happened, the children were slowly starting to convince people that they were from the UK.
Oh.
When they were asked where they were from, they would say, quote, "We are inhabitants of the land of St. Martin, who is regarded with peculiar veneration in the country which gave us birth," end quote.
That is a very peculiar way of explaining where you were from. But okay.
That's what they would say.
All right.
When asked where they were from before this, they could only recall minor things, such as there was little to no sunlight. Oh. One explanation that was given for the green children was that they were orphaned, or they were the children of Flemish immigrants who may have been persecuted for some reason or another. The green skin was explained away by the idea of malnutrition. Either way, it's said that their green pigment did eventually go away and they lived out their lives as happy, regular people.
How malnourished do you have to be in order to get green skin?
I've never heard of anybody else being so malnourished their skin turns green.
No, that's really strange.
I also thought it was a very peculiar explanation. Next, we have Saint Edmund and the Wolf. King Edmund, who was also named Saint Edmund, was the original, often referred to as the original patron saint of England. He was sadly said to be killed by invaders. I read one source that said it was Danish invaders and another source that said it was Viking invaders. Anyway, he was killed on November 20th, 869.
Oh, wow.
After he refused to denounce his Christianity. Apparently, he was tied to a tree, shot full of arrows, and then beheaded. The story goes that St. Edmund's followers found his body but were struggling to find his head when they began to hear a wolf call to them, and that the wolf led them to Edmund's head where the wolf was actually standing guard over it. The men took St. Edmund's head back to be with his body, and when the head was near the body, it miraculously reattached itself. It was believed that this was a sign of St. Edmund's sainthood, and that this would bring many good fortunes or miracles, as some would call them, to be bestowed to the area. And a shrine was set up for Edmund's body in Bury St. Edwards that would become one of vast pilgrimage, which then resulted in the growth and prosperity of the abbey and the town. There's a statue of St. Edmund as a young boy to represent when he took the throne in 855. Wearing a crown, and next to him is the wolf, who is believed to be forever guarding him. And that installation is located in the great churchyard beside the St. Edmundsbury Cathedral. And lastly, we're going to talk about the Suffolk merfolk. According to what I read, the mermaids of Suffolk, with the exception of the Wild Man of Orford, who we talked about earlier, and who was the only claimed merperson to be found in salt water, other than him, all the other mermaids were said to be female. These mermaids could be found in any fresh water source they could find that was large enough for them to live in. They could be found in the county's lakes, rivers, wells, pools, and a couple sources even said drainage ditches.
Pools? Or not pools, but wells and drainage ditches? You wouldn't figure that'd be big enough for them to live in, but
that's what it said.
Interesting.
An example of this was a recounting of a man in 1870 from when he was a child. He lived in Rendlesham, which had a pond known as the S Pond because of its shape, but it would eventually also be called the Mermaid Pond.
Okay.
He claimed when he was a boy, when he or his friends would get too close to the pond, his nursemaid would shout, quote, to us, "Do not go so near, lest the mermaid should come," end quote. She told them the mermaid would hook him with her chrome fork from her rake. I assumed the chrome fork with the rake was maybe like a trident.
Oh, okay.
But that's mostly just because usually any movies you see with mermaids, they usually have tridents.
Well, yeah, but the way she explained it, it kind of sounds like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking that until you said that, and it was like, oh.
Yeah. That was immediately where my brain went on the description of the fork and the rake.
Yeah.
Because I could see how the spikes of a trident could be fork-ish. But anyway, there were many accounts from all over the country. Another area suspected of mermaid life was outside of St. Edmunds in Babwell, Fen Meadows. There's a lake there, and in the mid-19th century, it had what was referred to as an abundance of beautiful water fed by springs in the low grounds near the road. It was often called the Mermaid Pit. There was a love-stricken maid who drowned herself in that lake, and it was believed that she then turned into a mermaid. Now, there was never any tellings of whether this particular mermaid was one of the ones that would pitchfork you or not.
Okay.
But all the rest of them were said to believe too. I think it was referred to as that they would chrome you.
Chrome you.
I don't really know.
So she's the only one
and
that wouldn't chrome you. The other ones would chrome you.
Yeah, and chrome was spelled Crome. I don't know if that's the same as what I guess I should have Googled that to see what that actually means.
Crome?
Yeah.
Let's Google it right now. Crome.
I should have done a better job with that.
Mini. No, it didn't say menu.
Maybe it was a typo. Maybe it should have had an H. Oh, nope, it's an actual thing. A long stick with a hook at the end. Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense then. Okay, so the fear was that the mermaids would chrome you if you got too close to the water. Anyway.
Go Google.
There was supposedly an abundance of mermaids to be found in ponds and drainage ditches, but it's never been explained or verified if mermaids ever truly existed at all, or if these were just tales that parents spun to their children to keep them away from the water.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would like to
Other than the Wild Man of Orford.
See, I would like to think that there's mermaids.
I definitely think there's mermaids. I believe in all of I don't think there's ever been like a folklore or a myth or legend or whatever that I didn't find some way to believe that it could be true.
Oh yeah, they're all credible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I was just saying that
Sorry. Nope, you're fine. So that is my mini tales of Suffolk County. I truly hope that I told them right and I did them justice, but if not, please reach out and let me know. This was a really fascinating case. Suffolk in itself is fascinating. In fact, within the next couple of cases that I do, I'll be covering something else out of this county that I stumbled upon while researching all of these legends that I thought was case worthy.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear about that. I think they did really good on this one. This one's definitely very interesting.
Thank you. I also wanted to add that if you found this as interesting as I did and you want to learn more, there are tons of books out there about the lore surrounding this area and all of England, all of Europe, really.
Yeah.
I mean, just tons. And I definitely plan on covering more tales and folklore of this area really soon. But yeah, thank you so much for listening and spending your time with us today. Please feel free to comment or reach out and let us know what you think or what you want to hear next. As always, we can be heard on just about any social media you can think of and contacted on all of them as well. And we can be seen on our YouTube channel, Render the Darkness. And if you like our podcast and how we tell the cases, please feel free to subscribe. Or not. Either way is fine.
But please subscribe.
But yeah. And yeah, that's my case. So
that was a good one. That was very good.
Thank you. And again, thank you for spending your time with us. And we are
Render the Darkness. Bye.
Bye.